All right, guys, welcome back to my channel, Butterfly Spirit 314. So today we're going to be talking about herbalism today. So specifically, as the title says, I'm going to be discussing how to learn herbalism, finding programs or books, getting your start in herbalism, and this is from my experience. Okay, so I know this is kind of turning into more of a herbalism channel, but that's okay because I talk about tons of stuff on my channel, as you guys may know. So I'm going to start with the beginning here, which is how to learn herbalism. So I don't know herbalism. I'm going to repeat that. I do not know herbalism to start with. Okay. But I am interested in learning herbalism, and I have been doing some reading um, on it. And I'm basically at the point where I'm working on anatomy, and also I'm working a little bit on herbalism, like touching on like the introduction of it and things like that. So I'm not really deep into it, but I recently decided that I wanted to get into herbalism. The reason why is because in the past I wanted to get into aromatherapy, but the program kind of came and went because I couldn't afford the program at the time. Actually, let me go back. I could afford the program, but I guess that's a two-parter. So at first, when the program came around in my area, I wasn't able to afford it. But then when it came around again, I was able to afford it, but I was working full time. So the days I would have had to have gotten off work, it wouldn't have worked with my work schedule. So that's why I missed out on that particular aromatherapy program. But I did get a chance to participate in a chakra program. If you want to find out about that, I believe that's a video that's on my channel. So I can go ahead and try to take a look into. You guys could take a look into that if you're really interested in that. I think it was about chakra healing, but I want to kind of keep this video short today because I want to eat and things. Um, so the aromatherapy I found out is a part of herbalism. So it's not herbalism and aromatherapy. It's really aromatherapy is a part of the herbalism. But I mean, I've been attracted to herbs and things like that since I was a little girl and things, and I never really decided to act on it until recently. So, how to learn herbalism? Like I said before, I don't know herbalism. And from what I've read from somebody who knows about herbalism and studied it for a while, is that you will never completely know herbalism. So you won't know all the herbs and work with them and stuff like that. You won't do that. You'll know some, and there is always more you can know based off of this article that I read. And I may do a video about that in the future, but I'm just kind of keeping it to things that I've looked up and things like that, and just stuff I know from experience, the little experience I have. So, how to learn herbalism. I'm a beginner. I've just started. I've been reading for last few weeks. And basically, I've been going by YouTube videos. So there's this lady who is a herbalist, and recently I found out she's gone through like 5 herbalism programs. So that's why she like knows a lot about teas and stuff like that, and tinctures, salves, and all that stuff. So she knows a lot about that. And so I believe she has a tea business. So that's what she has decided to work on. But I really respect what she said, because in the video she had, because she knows her way around the stuff, and she's found a way to make business out of herbs. So I think that that's really cool. And I love seeing um, someone that's a person of color like myself, um, seeing someone like her who is also African American, who is on the path to herbalism. I love that. I really do, because, you really get experience from people who are already um, have the experience and who are already experts, people who know their way around the stuff. So by watching a couple of her videos, I've been led on the path of what I need to do with herbalism and things. And I'm really open to it because I realize that, you know, working professionally doesn't work well for me. Doesn't mean I'm not good at working on jobs. It just means that jobs are stressful and they end up just making everything just throws everything in the air, and it doesn't let me relax. And so I think herbalism is a good path to go down because it feels good to me spiritually. So that's why I feel like I'm going down that, the path and things. So, um, how to learn herbalism for me so far. Since I'm a beginner, I'm learning it by reading books, and I'm learning it by watching like YouTube videos and stuff like that. I've watched the ladies' videos um, that's African American like myself, so I watched a couple of her stuff. But the things she said in the videos have really been very informative, and it's kind of gotten me on the path of, okay, so this is what I do next, type thing. So I'm hoping she makes more videos about herbalism because I think she's very versed in it. And I think that, she would be, it would be really cool if she can like make up courses herself and stuff like that and teach. But I guess I'll have to like maybe comment and see, what she decides to do maybe. But I think it would be cool. So, um, like I said, I'm learning herbalism right now from reading books and just watching videos. And some videos I'm kind of just dabbling in and learning a little bit about, but I haven't really built an interest towards those other videos that are really long. It's just based off the ones that I have time to sit down for and watch and things. So one thing that kind of warms my heart about the ladies' videos that I've been watching is that she's African American like myself. I don't think she's not African American. I'm sorry. Um, she's black like I am. She's African like I am. Not like African from the continent, but we're the same race, basically. People of color. She happens to be in the UK, so I think that's cool that being in the UK, her videos are reaching around the world. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome. If you're like me and you're starting off with herbalism, it really depends because when you get to this video, this could be, a year down the road, 2 years, 3 years down the road for me and things like that. And, how I'm started with herbalism may not necessarily be the same for you. You may start off by going into a program or something like that. And that may be how you get your start. One thing that I did find out about herbalism programs is in the US, based off of what I have read, is that herbalism is not regulated. So you can be somebody, you can call yourself a herbalist in the US without being certified. So I think that's really awesome because I think there needs to be that room of a career that you can go into, not structured, but be something that's ancient and raw and cool that you can do without it being regulated. I think that that's really good. I really do. So cool. So one thing about herbalism programs, if you're going to get into a herbalism program, one thing you should definitely do is you need to check the person out. Wherever you are in the world, make sure they are a reputable herbalist, somebody who actually teaches herbalism and not somebody who's just like a overnight herbalist, meaning like they are somebody who, they read a couple articles and now they feel like they can teach herbalism because that's not the case. Okay. So you don't want to be following the teachings of somebody who is overnight herbalist. If it's somebody who, is like a medicine man, medicine woman, or, herbalist, or they are a witch, warlock, you know, in those type of circles, yeah, then you may want to follow them. If there's somebody who's in the gardening, but then they also, use the herbs, okay, cool. Then you can try to follow them, but make sure, I would just say, do your due diligence and just make sure that you know that this person is reputable and not that they're just somebody who's, talking out the side of the neck, meaning they're talking BS and they're not being truthful about herbalism. So I think that that's important. In terms of finding a program, make sure it's reputable. Okay. You don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a program and then find out this person isn't reputable and then you don't get the type of teachings that you need and you're scammed out of your money. You don't want to do any of that. Okay. You want to make sure the program is legit and it is a good program and that other people have taken the program and they've reviewed it or they can tell you about it, or maybe just the program sounds reputable enough to you. You know what I mean? So, it's up to you to judge the type of program you're going to go into. In terms of finding programs, I have went online, and in my city in the US, there's one program that they have for herbalism, but that particular program is expensive. And, it's something I would definitely have to save up for. The way I found out about other programs is that I watched the lady on YouTube, YouTube's videos, who's an herbalist, and she mentioned some programs on an Instagram post that she did. So I've been kind of looking up those programs and things like that just to see, to try to check them out and see like what'll be a better fit for me. Not now, but maybe in the future. So I'm just looking through programs and stuff. I did look into a program she said she took for herbalism. She said she took a course that's by Rosemary Gladstone. I think that's her name, Rosemary Gladstone. Let me double check. Hold on, I actually got a printout here, so hang on. I don't have to go online. I can just check by my papers. Yep, Rosemary. I'm sorry, her name isn't Rosemary Gladstone. It's Rosemary Gladstar. So Rosemary Gladstar. When I was looking up, like trying to find beginner herbalism books, she has a lot of herbalism books that are out there. So if you just type like Rosemary Gladstar books for herbalism or Rosemary Gladstar herbalism books, then they will definitely pop up. I didn't get a chance to read any of her books just yet, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to try to check some of those books out, when I can get hold to them. But right now I haven't really done that. But her name is Rosemary Gladstar. Rosemary Gladstar. All right. So my advice, if you're looking into some type of herbalism programs, what you can do is you can go on YouTube to try to watch some videos on herbalism by some YouTubers and then see what types of programs they recommend. One thing about programs is the program that they went to may not necessarily be the program that you want to go to because it may not necessarily be a good fit for you. They may have went to an in-person class and you may want to go to you may want to attend an online class because of, COVID and stuff like that. You may not want to be in person, you may want to do something different. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique, and everybody has time for different stuff. You may want to be in a class that takes months. Another person may want to be in a course that takes weeks, just to learn. They may want to have a basic understanding of stuff. You may want a broad understanding. They may want a huge understanding of something. You may want to, you may want a broad understanding, but they may want a simple understanding of something, in herbalism, I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to have a different focus. Some people just may want to make herbal products for themselves and like their families. And other people may want to start a business up and, make tons of products. So it really depends, you know, on what you want to do, how you want to move forward. But like I said, go on YouTube, watch some herbalism videos. I'm sure there's going to be some herbalists out there that can recommend programs that you can attend. Like I said, it's not going to, every program they recommend, you don't have to take. One thing I would say is you definitely want to save up some money to make sure that you can take the specific course that you want to take. And you may want to take a folk or a biopic um, herbalism course that's more traditional, that connects culturally with you. It's more spiritual. You may want to do that. Okay. Or you may be the type of person, you may say, oh, I just want to know Western herbalism. I just want to know the herbalism that doesn't talk about where the herbs come from. I just want to know what the herbs are that I can use. Doesn't matter what particular indigenous group it came from. You may be that person. Western herbalism is definitely going to be one where it does not tell you where the herbs came from, and it's not going to give you credit. It's not going to give not you credit, but it's not going to give credit to the people whose lands these herbs come from. Okay, so one group, for example, where the herbs would come from would be Native Americans. They use herbs, and because they use herbs, they gave the knowledge of how to use herbs to the people who came in to colonize. So it will be a good idea to give credit to the Native Americans. It's not just the Native Americans. There's other indigenous groups as well who knew about herbs and stuff like that and gave knowledge on them. They didn't get credit for them too. But I just use the Native Americans as an example because everybody tends to know who the Native Americans were in the U.S. So that's just a point. Finding programs like I did, you can Google herbalism programs in your area. You can check around if you have any like herbalists, like herbalists like shops around you or apothecary shops. You can go into those places and talk to the people there, ask if they offer any programs, talk to friends, family, see if they know of any herbalism courses. I mean, they may look at you crazy because they may not know what it is, but you may look up and somebody may know about a course maybe that they took. You can ask a botanical garden in your area. If there's like a large garden in your area, you can always go to them and see if they know of any herbalism programs because they may grow herbs. So they may be able to point you in the right direction of where to go. Okay. So, those are ways I think you can find herbalism programs. I think a good way is to go on YouTube and, listen to some herbalist videos and things like that and see if they offer any type of programs, or, you can comment below the video and ask them, hey, can you recommend any type of herbalism programs that I can attend? And they may do a video on it, or they just may comment to you. It really, really depends. Right now, in terms of finding herbalism programs, I'm just kind of taking some programs that the lady that's a YouTuber, that's an herbalist, mentioned on her Instagram. And I'm just trying to kind of go on one by one through the programs to see which is one of them that I would be interested in doing. I know that the programs that the YouTuber that she's participating in may not necessarily be the one that I want to be participating in, but at least it gives me somewhere to start instead of having to just look everything up, because you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what I don't know, and the only way that I'm going to learn about something is if like I express that interest in it. So that's how I suggest finding programs in your area. In terms of books, and let me go back. That's how I would suggest that you find programs in your area, like in-person programs or online. Is through like YouTube. So let me move on to books. So how would you find herbalism books? Finding herbalism books, what you can do is just Google beginner herbalism books like I did. and then you'll find some books. You can order those books online. One thing I recommend that you do is you um, definitely find out what the book is about to see if it fits the purpose um, of what. Make sure it fits the purpose of what you're trying to learn. So if you're a beginner in herbalism, trying to make a point so you guys are not totally lost. If you are starting out in herbalism, you want to look for beginner herbalism books. Okay. You don't want to just search for herbalism books, because a herbalism book that you might find, this book may be for experts, people who know their way around herbs already. It may be that way. So, one thing you might want to do, I suggest is, if you find herbalism books, I suggest typing beginner herbalism books, and then it'll pop up some uh, ideas or books out there for you. And one thing I suggest is um, you can go by the results that Google gives you. You can also go to Google, like the images, like you type beginner herbalism books and then click on images on Google, and then it'll show you tons of herbalism books, like pictures of them. And then you can look at the pictures and then write down the titles of those beginner herbalism books that you see in the different pictures. And then you can look them up. Some books are going to stand out to you, and, you can look those particular ones up. That's kind of how I've been doing. I mean, the books I've looked up online, I haven't been able to get them because they're expensive, but at some point I'm going to get those books and I'm going to read those books. Now, one thing about a book is books contain knowledge in them. That's the really good part, is that they do contain that knowledge, and that knowledge may not necessarily be found in a YouTube video or article that somebody publishes on herbalism. So I think reading a book can actually help you get that knowledge that you're not going to just get from, a 10-minute or hour YouTube video out there. Um, Another way you can find books is you can go to your local library, see if they're selling books, and see if you can find any herbalism books. You can go to a bookstore in your area, see if they have any of the books that you saw online that you was interested in, and buy those books. Before you buy the books, definitely check them out on Amazon if that's available in your country or area, um, and see if reading the description on Amazon is going to tell you what that book is about, and if that's going to go towards the purpose that you need them for. So if you're looking for a beginner herbalism book, if you look the book up on Amazon, you want to make sure that when you're reading the description about the book, it says it is a beginner herbalism book. And, and also I suggest checking it out, like looking at looking inside the book. And you can like usually do that if it's like a Kindle book or something like that. And I said, click on it, look inside the book, and then try to, go through the pages and read the introduction. See if it fits with you. If it fits with you, go for it. Definitely go for it, and then say, hey, you know what? This is the book I want to get because I read through the introduction. It spoke to me, and it's a beginner herbalism book. So, hey, I'll go ahead and buy it. You can buy it on You can buy it on You can buy it on Amazon. You can probably buy it on eBay, or you can buy it at a local bookstore. I mean, it really depends on what your budget is. Right now, I've kind of just been buying books that have been at a local bookstore. It's called Half Price Books, and it's like a physical store. I think they also sell books online, but I've been just going into the bookstore and just picking up some herbalism books that are cheap that I can afford. And I'm, starting off inexpensive with herbalism first and saying, hey, is this what I want to get into? I'm of course, read the books before I make a really big purchase on like an herbalism program. Cause I saw a herbalism program that was like $1,300, and I believe it's online, but it's $1,300, like $1,300. That's a lot of money to invest in something. So you definitely want to make sure herbalism is for you first before you get there. So I suggest reading books that are cheaper than, $1,300. You might want to get a book that's like $5 or $10, or something under $10, and read the book first. And then decide, hey, you know what? Let's say if herbalism isn't for you and you spend like, let's say you spend like $50 on like, let's say like 20 books, right? So all 20 books will add up to the $50. If you find that herbalism is not for you, then what you can do is you can just be like, okay, well, it's not for me. At least I didn't spend big money like $1,000 or 10,000, 20,000. You know, it's better to start off the inexpensive way with something first that you want to do first and make the decision then and then move up to something bigger purchase, then to waste a large amount of money on it and then totally not understand, you know, it and feel like it was a waste of your time, but then you dropped a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Start off inexpensive is something you want to do first. Then work your way up to the bigger purchase. Because if you start off when it's inexpensive and you find that it's not for you, hey, you let's say you spend $50 on books, you only spent $50, you didn't spend 1,300. Okay. So that's what I have to say about books. I say if you go to a local bookstore, choose books to stand out to you. You know, you ain't got to buy all the books, but buy a couple of books. You know, my advice is be inexpensive about it. You know, if it's like $10, you got $10, spend that on the book. You know, if you want to. Or if you see a $3 book, get the $3 book or the $4 or $5 book. You know, start small and then build your way up to something more expensive. You know, let's see. Getting your start in herbalism. Well, I've been talking about getting your start in herbalism. Um, Getting your start in herbalism, my advice as a beginner with getting your start is don't spend a lot of money to learn something at first. Watch videos on it. See if you really want to do it. If you can participate in any really cheap programs on the topic, do that first. So, like, there's a program that's in herbalism I'm interested in participating in. It's like $25. And I'm okay with spending $25 to, you know, get an introduction first, because if I spend the $25, you know, and I like it, like the program that I participate in, at least I'm starting cheaper, you know, and I'm keeping it low. And then the more and more interested I get in the herbalism, the more I'm going to be like, yeah, you know, I'm cool with spending this kind of money on this in-person program or online program or whatever. So I'm happy with doing that. Starting inexpensively. That's what I'm doing. If you got the money, drop down on a whole bunch of stuff, like a $1,500 program, and you want to do it, by all means, do it if you want to. Just do what you feel comfortable with. You can start inexpensive or you can start expensive. It really depends on your budget and what you want to do. Also, with getting started in herbalism, I would suggest um, taking it slow. Don't expect to learn everything about herbalism overnight, because you're not. I haven't. I've been working on this for several weeks and like 3 or 4 weeks. So it's not going to be fast. It's going to take time. You know, it's like if you were cooking. It's going to take time to make a certain dish. I mean, unless you're going to go to the store and get it or go to a restaurant and get it. But even then, it's going to take time for somebody to prepare that dish, you know. So realize that things are slow. Herbalism and learning it is going to be slow. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be. It's something that you got to be patient with. And there's going to be some parts of it you're going to be like, oh, I really don't understand this. Well, you know, I say build on it, but start small first, learn a little bit first, and then gradually learn more and more and more and more and more. You know, gradually do that. But take your time. It's not going to be a sprint. And also, if you are looking for a herbalism program online and they say that you can be like a master herbalist in like a month or two, you're not going to be able to be that. So if it's like a master program, no, it's not going to work out like that. It's going to take time to become a master herbalist. I mean, a lot of the master herbalists, they've been working with herbs for years. I would say somebody would probably be a master at something. I say they could probably be a master in it, probably about maybe, probably about maybe, maybe, maybe 3 to 5 years, they can probably be a master at doing something. Or even 10 years. If they've been doing it 10 years, 20 years, they're going to be a master herbalist if they got the backing and the knowledge. They going to be that. I can say the earliest you might be able to do it is at like 3 years. Then, you could be an herbalist, you know, but then master herbalist, I'd say 3 to 5 years. You could probably get there. 3 years, I'd say somebody could probably call themselves a master herbalist. If you've been doing your job for like 3 years, you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You don't need nobody to tell you what to do because you know it. 5 years in doing your job, you don't have no questions, if you're lucky enough to be on the job 3 to 5 years. But either way, the more and more you do something, the more you know about it. If you've been working on cars for a long time, like let's say you've been working on cars for years, you know what you're doing. Might call yourself a master mechanic as long as you got the training and you know your way around cars, then you can call yourself a master mechanic. I'd say you need the credentials, but to be a master anything, you just have to have the knowledge, experience, to back up that you're a master anything. So don't be fooled if somebody says you can be a master herbalist in like a year either, because you won't be a master anything in that, because herbalism is broad. And to get the experience, you won't just go through one program and be able to call yourself a master herbalist. It's just not going to work like that. So don't be fooled by some programs saying that. Okay. Let me see what else we're getting started with herbalism. Be patient with yourself when you're learning herbalism. Know that it's not just about herbs, it's about herbalism, herbs, nutrition, and anatomy. If you're going to be making, herbal products or just herbal syrups or tinctures or salves or compresses, if you're making like any type of shampoos or lotions or moisturizers or conditioners or any of that stuff, you're going to need to know how these particular herbs interact with the body. And you want to make sure that the herb that you're using is not going to make you allergic and is not going to cause you to have a rash or a burn or any of that stuff. Okay. So that's why I'm saying you need to make sure you know the anatomy portion. Okay. And I'm only saying nutrition, anatomy, and herbal or herbalism because you need to know those parts if you're going to be working with them. Because the worst thing you can do is start off by messing with herbs and you don't know the hell what it does. All right. Another thing about getting started with herbalism is be willing to be a sponge. Be willing to learn information and look in different sources to find stuff out. Don't just assume by looking at one article that you can say, oh, this is credible. I'm just saying, look different places. If I make a video on an article, one thing I'll say is definitely look in other sources. Don't just believe everything I say. Like I'm spoon feeding you. Don't believe that. Go and look the article up yourself and, read books on the topic or whatever you want to do to draw your final conclusion on what you're doing. Okay. So those are like my thoughts on getting started with herbalism. A herbalist is not a doctor, so I'm not a doctor, so I can't like tell you, like what decisions to make on somebody being sick or anything. But I'm not that, so I'm just put that out there. Not a doctor. But I think an herbalist is really cool because a herbalist is somebody who works with herbs and they can use herbs to make you better. And an herbalist can also work in tandem with your doctor. So that's something that's cool too, if you want to do that. My experience right now is I'm reading books. I'm reading articles. I'm looking up programs. That's where I am with herbalism. I'm watching videos, trying to get more familiar with herbs and stuff like that, finding out fascinating things about like the body and how it works and stuff. I haven't really gotten into nutrition. I want to get into nutrition, but I'm going to have to find some books on nutrition. So I haven't found those yet, but I'm sure that I will. If you guys want me to make a video about the books that I'm reading right now on herbalism, I can definitely do that. Just feel free to comment below and let me know. Let me know what you think of the video. I hope that this is helpful for somebody who's starting off in herbalism like myself, because even if you're not an expert in something, you can always talk about your experience thus far. So right now, I'm learning a lot, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a ton. You know, I'm not going to stay in the beginner stage. I'm not going to be that way. So, and I'm gonna next thing I think I'm gonna be doing is like looking up a program that's like the $25 program. I'm gonna kind of look up a review on that on YouTube and like see what other people have to say about it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But other than that, I'm gonna be getting me some food. Right. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Title of this video was How to Learn Herbalism, Finding Programs or Books, and Getting Your Start in Herbalism, My Experience. So thank you for watching and have a good night. Do, 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 do.